This is the second in a two-part video series that demonstrates how to use Blender to make this alarm clock. In the first video, I demonstrated how to create the front glass lens, the clock body, and the face of the clock. In the second video, I'll be finishing the clock and then I'll demonstrate how to render the final image. This is where we left off in the previous video. Now we're ready to make the hands of the clock. Start by pressing 3 on the number pad to switch to side view. Then go to the Add menu and select Mesh and then UV Sphere. Then grab the green arrow and move this object to the left. Then press the S key so that we can scale the object. Then type 0.1 and then press the Enter key. Then press the S key to scale again, and this time we want to restrict the scaling operation to the Y-axis, so press the Y key. Then type 0.2 followed by the Enter key. Now press 1 on the number pad to switch to front view. Next, go into Edit mode and switch to wireframe. Now press A to deselect everything. You'll notice now that our object is hard to see because the other objects are also visible. So let's temporarily turn off the visibility of the other objects. To do that, come over here and expand this top section. Then move the scroll bar until you can see the sphere labels. Next to each of these labels is a button that looks like an eye. Click the eye button next to Sphere, Sphere 001, and Sphere 002. Now we can easily see the object that we are working on. Now use the scroll wheel and zoom in a little closer. Also pan the view so the object is close to the bottom of the display. Next, press the B key and draw a selection box around these top vertices. Now press the G key, which will allow us to move the selection. Then press the Z key to restrict movement to the Z axis. Then type 0.2 followed by the Enter key. Next, press the E key to extrude, and then type 0.01 followed by the Enter key. Now press the S key to scale, and then press the X key to restrict the scale operation to the X axis. Then type 4 followed by the Enter key. Next, press the E key to extrude and type 0.2 followed by the Enter key. Then press the S key to scale and type 0 followed by the Enter key. Now go back to Object mode and change Wireframe to Solid. Then press the Smooth button to smooth the edges. And now we're going to subdivide this object. So click on the Object Modifiers button that looks like a wrench, then click Add Modifier and select Subdivision Surface. Then set both the View and Render values to 3. Next, we're going to set the material for this object. So click on the Material button and then click on the New button. Then click this button and select Mix Shader. And remember that the Mix Shader allows us to combine two different shaders. Now click here to set the first shader and select Diffuse. Then click here to set the second shader and select Glossy. Now click in this white area to set the color. Make sure that the Hex button is selected and then enter E72100 and press the Enter key. Now do the same thing for the second shader. Click in the white area, make sure the Hex button is selected, and enter E72100 and press the Enter key. Now set the roughness value to 0. We're going to be using this material later, so let's give it a name. So click in this entry box and let's name it Red. Now we're finished with the hour hand. To make the minute hand, we're just going to duplicate the hour hand and then stretch it. So press 3 on the number pad to switch to side view. You may need to pan the view to bring the hour hand back into view. Press Shift D to duplicate. The duplicate will move with the mouse, so press the Y key to restrict the movement to the Y axis. Then position the duplicate object on the left side of the original object and then press the left mouse button. Now switch to front view by pressing 1 on the number pad. Then go into Edit mode. and switch to wireframe. Press A to deselect everything. Press the B key and draw a selection box around the top half of the object. Then press the G key to move the selection. Press the Z key to restrict movement to the Z axis. Then type 0.15 followed by the Enter key. Now we're finished making the minute hand. The next thing that we're going to do is to rotate both of the hands. So start by going back into Object Mode and switch from wireframe to solid. Now press the R key to rotate and type 60 followed by the Enter key. Then right-click on the hour hand to select it, press the R key to rotate, and type 5 followed by the Enter key. Now we're going to add one more detail to the hands. So press 3 on the number pad to switch to side view. Then from the Add menu, select Mesh, and then UV Sphere. Then use the scroll wheel to zoom out. Press the S key to scale, and type 0.05 followed by the Enter key. Then grab the green arrow and drag the object to the left until the left half of the sphere is visible in front of the left clock hand. You can rotate the view to see this better. Then press the Smooth button to smooth out the surface. Then click the Material button and click New. The default surface should be set to diffuse. Click the white color and drag this down to set the color to black. Now let's turn the visibility back on for the rest of the clock. So come up here and click the eye buttons next to Sphere, Sphere 001, and Sphere 002. To see the numbers on the face of the clock and to see the color of the objects, change this setting from solid to material. Now let's move the hands into place. The sphere that we just added should still be selected, so hold down the Shift key and right-click on the minute hand and then right-click on the hour hand. Holding down the Shift key allows you to select multiple objects at the same time. Now with these 3 objects selected, grab the green arrow and position the hands of the clock until they are right in front of the clock face. You can press 1 on the number pad to view it from the front. Now let's put the glass lens in place. So press 3 on the number pad to switch to side view. I'm also going to pan the view to bring the glass lens into view. Now right-click on the glass lens to select it. Then grab the green arrow and position the lens in front of the clock. Then rotate the view a little. Grab the green arrow again and move the lens over until it just touches the clock. Now we're ready to make the alarm bells that will go on top of the clock. So start by pressing 1 on the number pad to switch to the front view. Then zoom out and pan down. Now from the Add menu, select Mesh, and then UV Sphere. Then grab the blue arrow and pull the object up. Now go into Edit mode, and then select Wireframe. Press the A key to deselect everything, press the B key and put a selection box around the bottom portion of the object. The second row of vertices above the center and everything below it should be selected. Then press the X key to delete and select Vertices. Now press the B key again and select the bottom row of vertices. Now press the G key to move the selection, and then press the Z key to restrict the movement to the Z axis. Then type -0.2 followed by the Enter key. This is the basic shape of the bell, but if you rotate the view a little, you'll see that it has no thickness defined. So we're going to smooth the edges and define a thickness. So go into Object Mode and switch from Wireframe to Solid. Then click the Smooth button. Now click on the Object Modifiers button, then click on Add Modifier and select Solidify. Set the thickness to 0.1. And now let's smooth this out even more. So click the Add Modifier button again and select Subdivision Surface. Down here in the subdivisions section, set both the view and render values to 3. Now we're going to shrink the bell. So press the S key to scale and type 0.55 and then press the Enter key. Next, let's set the material for the bell. So click the Material button, then click the small button on the left side of the New button. This will allow us to select a material that we have previously defined. We want to select the material named Blue. This is the same material that we use for the body of the clock. Now let's make the stem that will connect the bell to the clock body. So start by pressing 1 on the number pad and go to Front View. Now from the Add menu, select Mesh and then UV Sphere. Grab the blue arrow and move this object up. Now press S to scale and type 0.1 followed by the Enter key. I'm going to zoom in for a closer view. Next, go to Edit Mode and select Wireframe. Then press the A key to deselect everything. Now press the B key and select the bottom 2 rows of vertices. Now you can zoom out some. Next, press the G key to move the selection, and then press the Z key to restrict the movement to the Z axis. Now type -0.5 and press the Enter key. Now go back to Object Mode and switch from Wireframe to Solid. Then press the Smooth button. Next, press the Object Modifiers button, and then click the Add Modifier button. Then select Subdivision Surface. Set both the view and render values to 3. Next, click on the Material button. Then click on New. Click this button to set the material and select Glossy. Then click on the white color and pull this down to the center. This will make the material look like chrome. Now let's zoom out and position this object. Grab the blue arrow and drag it up to here. And now while this object is still selected, press and hold the Shift key and then right-click on the bell. This will let us select both objects at the same time. Now press the R key to rotate and type -30. Then press the Enter key. Next, press the G key to move the object, then press the X key to restrict the movement to the X-axis, and then type -0.65 followed by the Enter key. Now grab the blue arrow and drag the object down here. Next, we're going to duplicate these objects, so press Shift-D. The new objects will now move with the mouse. Press the X key to restrict the movement to the X-axis, and then type 1.3 followed by the Enter key. Now rotate the objects by pressing the R key, then type 60, then press the Enter key. Now come over here to the left and right-click on this object. Then press Shift-D to duplicate it. Press the X key to restrict the movement to the X-axis, and then type 0.7 followed by the Enter key. Now press the R key to rotate and type 10 followed by the Enter key. Then grab the blue arrow and drag it down slightly. Now let's make the base of the clock. I'll zoom out now so that I can see the whole clock. I'm also going to position the view so that the clock is in the top half of the display. Now from the Add menu, select Mesh, and then UV Sphere. Then grab the blue arrow and drag it down. I'll rotate the view so that you can get a better look at what I'm doing. Now press the S key to scale, and then press the Y key to restrict the scale operation to the Y axis. Then type 0.5 followed by the Enter key. Then press the S key again and press the Z key to restrict the scale operation to the Z axis. Then type 0.25 followed by the Enter key. Now we need to flatten out the bottom of the base. Start by pressing 1 on the number pad to go to Front View, then go to Edit Mode, and select Wireframe. Press A to deselect everything, then press the B key and select all of the vertices on the bottom half of the object, including the vertices in the center. Then press the S key to scale, and then the Z key to restrict the scale operation to the Z axis. Then type 0 followed by the Enter key. Now go back to Object Mode and switch from Wireframe to Solid. Now press the Smooth button to smooth out the edges. Then come over to the right and press the Object Modifiers button. Then click Add Modifier and select Subdivision Surface. Then set both the View and Render values to 3. Next, click the Material button. Then click the small button on the left side of the New button, then select Red. Now to position the base, grab the blue arrow and drag it up until the base overlaps the bottom of the clock. Now we're finished with the clock. The next thing that we are going to do is to add a surface for the clock to sit on. So from the Add menu, select Mesh and then Plane. Then press the S key to scale and then type 3 followed by the Enter key. Then grab the blue arrow and position it just below the bottom of the clock. Now click on the Material button and then click on the New button. The default material should be set to diffuse. Now click on the white color, then click the Hex button, and then set the value in the entry box to 74B4E7. Then press the Enter key. Now we're going to add the 2 light sources. For this, I'm going to zoom way out. I'll also rotate the view a little so that you can get a better look at what's happening. Now from the Add menu, select Mesh and then Plane. Then press the S key to scale and then type 3 followed by the Enter key. Then press the R key to rotate and then press the Y key to restrict the rotation to the Y axis. Then type 45 followed by the Enter key. Now press the G key to move the object and press the Z key to restrict the movement to the Z axis. Then type 7 followed by the Enter key. Now press the G key again to move the object and press the X key to restrict the movement to the X axis. Then type 5 followed by the Enter key. Now come over to the right and click on the New button and set the material. Click this button and select Emission. This material emits light. The strength value sets the strength of the light source. Set this value to 10. Now let's add the second light source. So from the Add menu, select Mesh and then Plane. Then press the S key to scale and then type 3 followed by the Enter key. Then press the R key to rotate and then press the X key to restrict the rotation to the X axis. Then type 45 followed by the Enter key. Now press the G key to move the object and press the Z key to restrict the movement to the Z axis. Then type 5 followed by the Enter key. Now press the G key again to move the object and press the Y key to restrict the movement to the Y axis. Then type -2.5 followed by the Enter key. Now come over to the right and click on the New button to set the material. Click this button and select Emission. Then set the strength to 10. Now let's set up the camera view. Start by pressing number 0 on the number pad. This is the view looking through the camera. What you see looking through the camera is what will be rendered. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. If you want to be able to rotate and pan the view while looking through the camera, then we need to make a change to the view properties. To do this, click on the View menu and select Properties. Then over here on the right, click the box next to Lock Camera to View. Then to hide this menu, click on the View menu and select Properties again. Now you can rotate, zoom, and pan the view while looking through the camera. So now I'm going to position the view that I want to render. Now we're ready to render the image, but I'm going to save the project first. It's a good idea to save your project before rendering in case something goes wrong during the rendering process. So from the File menu, select Save. Now click on the render button that looks like a camera. For now, keep all of the default values and just press the render button. This is a quick render that isn't rendered with very many samples, so it will look grainy. But it is a good way to take a quick look at what we have so far. By the way, to switch between this rendered image and the previous view, click on this menu down here. If you select 3D View, it will take you back to the previous view. To return to the rendered image, select UV Image Editor. Well, everything looks okay with this image, so we're ready to render the final image with more samples. So come down here and open the section called Sampling. In some older versions of Blender, this section is called Integrator. You can see over here that the number of render samples is currently set to 10. I'm going to change this to 1000. The larger this number, the better the final image will look, but the longer it will take to render. Now let's render the final image. So come back up here and click on the render button. If for some reason you want to abort the rendering before it's finished, then press the escape key. This image is going to take a while to render, so I'm going to pause the video until it's done. Rendering is finished, and now we have our final image. To save the image, put your cursor over the image and press the F3 key. You can specify a directory here and a file name here. I'm going to name this image clock.png. Then press the Save As Image button. Well, that concludes this video. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe and leave a comment.